Great job, Zach. Very good job. I love that you started in the beginning, you said, I'm just going to talk to you about my personal experience, but then what you really did is you just walked us through Bible verses. So it all had weight. None of it was subjective, and you were just very simply giving us an exposition on each of the verses. You read the verse, and then you unpacked the, I thought this, but it was so easy and natural and approachable versus getting everything, okay, let's talk about the third word in this verse. That comes from the Greek, whatever. You just read the verse, but you did the same thing. You did it in such an easy to approach way that really touched us. Your whole demeanor was very easy to listen to, and what it did is it removed barriers, and it let you say hard things, it let you say probing things, and we loved it because you were easy and comfortable to listen to. And we felt safe and we felt comfortable. So I actually love even experiencing your personality delivering that message. You had obviously some great lines. The eyes of a stranger, I plan on stealing. I may or may not footnote you, but that one, I really, really, really like that one. That one really touched me. The few things I would bring up, early on in the message you said everyone knows Psalm 91. I would avoid any kind of thing like that anywhere, and I get it. As soon as you say the verse, 95% of us know where you are, but just say, Psalm 91 is probably familiar to you, and read the verse. And that way we feel, oh yeah, it's familiar, but we feel safe if we can't immediately find Psalm 91 in our head. So, minor point, but because your content was so good, when you land the plane towards the end, I'd love to hear you repeat those two big things. Abiding in the presence, intimacy, just in your own way, but because you took us through deep waters really fast, not in a negative way, like you took us through so many big things, remind us, okay, I want you to walk out with this. You need to abide in the presence. Intimacy is only going to come in the knowledge of, you say those things and I'm left with 3 or 4 sentences that encapsulate everything. And I'll make one other point, it's not a huge point in this context, but for other contexts, because you're the second person, in general, don't preach in hats. And I don't really care because it's I have you and it's us. But there were 2 of you, there you go. And only because, depending on lighting, your face gets really dark. And your face gets dark, your eyes get dark, now it becomes hard to engage with you. And so that kind of goes for guys and gals. But I mean, I don't really care in here, but just be aware of that, particularly in a church type context, because depending on lighting, it looks better in the GPR than it normally is because we have lighting coming up. You almost never have that. You almost always have lighting coming down. And so that's why it darkens you. And even the GPR is really not ideal, but it'll look as bad because you have light flying everywhere and being reflected, but normally it can darken your face. Go.
Good job. I feel like I was Stephen Venable up there. There's just I had the thought, I'm like, I wonder if he tweets. Like, the one-liners that you had. Yeah, no. I know I actually don't tweet hardly at all, but the point is the one-liners were like money, and you kept hitting us with line after line after line, and you have a writing gift for sure. The way that you wrote it out, and then to teach it and say it. I mean, some of those things, as I was just reading through, I'm like, I want to read this in a book over and over and over again. And so I would just encourage you to keep writing out and then keep saying it, because the way that your demeanor, the way that you released it was like, okay, I can, yes, because you were just safe in doing it. And so excellent job. I don't have tons more to add. You just had a ton there, Zach, and you did such a good job. And you really do have an ability to communicate the deep things of God, in a way that is pastoral and that we can cling to and run to. And you have that pastoral gifting. I mean, the knowledge of God that you were hitting in just such a tender way. It was refreshing. The whole thing was refreshing. But I would encourage you to keep writing for sure. So, that's what I got. Okay, Annie.